All right, fam. Welcome back to another Smelling Government News. Let's go ahead and get it started for today, November 4th, 2020. All right, 2021. All right, as we see here, the Dow futures, they're all continue to go up and up and up. As we reported, this market is never ending, going down. It's going to go down, up and up and up and up. And as we see all across the board, all the futures are up as we see. All right. Over here, look at some foreign markets overseas. You see the FTSE 100 is up, the Nikkei is up. It's taking some of the cryptos. We see Bitcoin is taking a small dive, and it is really taking a big bounce to a big swing up after dropping down to the near 30s, to near 30,000 dollars and per ounce and the change, and it's back up to 62,000, just a little bit over $62,000 an ounce. Sorry, CMC crypto is up over $1,500 an ounce. Bitcoin, I'm sorry, a crypto, their currency. And Bitcoin, let me double back. Bitcoin is up as well for just over 62,000 per Bitcoin. All right, it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up and all right. As we saw by some of the financial markets, what happens when everything goes up and up and up? Eventually, it's going to have a devastating crash down. All right, all you gotta do is go back in time, go back and look at the story headlines from back in the day. So back in the day, that also means sometime decades and even almost a century later. All right. And so look at the 10-year bond is at 1.5790. The VIX is down a little bit. All right. Look at the GBP foreign currency. Look at the GBP to the US dollar is down. It's down a little bit, and then you got the US dollar to the Japanese yen is up. It's up. All right. So that was from YahooFinance.com. All right. YahooFinance.com. All right. So let's switch over here to Kitco.com. Sorry about the ad that's posted up. All right, let's take a look at the world spot price here. Look at that New York. We'll switch down to the world spot price. The overseas open right now. Look at gold is up. They keep hammering precious metals down, 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 down. And it's only going to get worse and worse before a violent swing into the uptake is going to take place. All right. So while you see getting good wise is, most of us, including myself, I can't afford to go buy ounces of gold left and right. So I stick to the more precious that are affordable for me. Like silver's pretty cheap right now, but we all know silver is the least of the known precious metals that are out there that you can actually get your hands on. It's the cheapest, all right. So go and get that. Even though silver is the cheapest, it's the rarest. It's one of the rarest, all right. So go and get that. There's a shortage of silver left and right in the world as far as for industrial purposes. But go ahead and take a look at that one, all right, from Kitco.com. Everything across the board is down. It may not seem Rodham is down, but look at Rodham. Rodham was almost at $30,000 an ounce a few months ago, and look at it now. All right, it has slashed almost 50% of its the peak potential of peak gains. All right. All right, so get that from Kitco.com. All right, Kitco.com. All right, so let's get into some actual news here, and we're gonna hit you with a banger here. As many some of these other YouTubers like to say, big bangers. All right, Lebanese carry worthless stacks of currency after currency crash. All right, this is reminiscent of the Weimar Republic. That if you're Weimar Republic, that was Germany after the stock market crash. People were walking around with wheelbarrows of Deutschmarks. All right, and it was that bad to the point where they were going with wheelbarrows full of Deutschmarks just to get a loaf of bread, and the storekeepers would tell them, "Hey, you can dump the cash outside. We'll take the wheelbarrow instead." All right, you can look at all sorts of these stories about what happened for the Weimar Republic. All right, so we get into this article a little bit here. According to Reuters, restaurant owner Anadol Hadid has been in business for 35 years. Say he's running out of hope for Lebanon, struggling with one of the deepest financial crises of modern times. The Lebanese pound has lost around 90% in the past 2 years, propelling three-quarters of the population into poverty. Think about it. 90%. They've lost 90% of their value, and now three-quarters of their population are in poverty. All right, that is 75% of their population is now in poverty. All right. So let that sink in for you, all right? There's more in this article that you can go and get and read to. Go ahead and get into this article a little bit and read more about it, all right? They're gonna have carrying wheelbarrows of cash around, and they can't even get a loaf of bread, all right, or pay for gas or anything else, all right? So keep following the story and go to Reuters.com about this one. That was from www.reuters.com, all right? So get this article. This is very important, all right? Now we're gonna stay overseas a little bit, and this is according to EurasiaReview.com, all right? EurasiaReview.com, all right? Venezuela turns to gold nuggets as local currency implodes. More countries and their currencies are imploding. This don't think just because it happened overseas, it can't happen here. We've been seeing warnings all over the place, and some of the biggest money makers and whales in the country of all stacking their precious metals up, and they're warning constantly about there's going to be something that's going to be a currency, a collapse of the U.S. economy and even the currency, especially Robert Kawasaki, the Rich Dad Poor Dad author. All right, get more into him. But let's get into this article here. Venezuela turns to gold as the currency collapses. All right, the currency is collapsed. It is worthless. All right. All right, the highest denomination currency note of 1 million bolivars, worth less than, get that, worth less than 25 cents, was replaced by one bolivar note. All right, at the same time, the 100 bolivar note is worth $25, was introduced at the new highest denomination of the bolivar. The current conversion designs to spare the government the embarrassing of having to issue 100 million bolivar notes to enable people to purchase everyday items without having to carry around bundles of notes. All right. So they got all sorts of issues. They won't take the Weimar Republic note or the Zimbabwe note about how these economies actually collapsing. They want to doing all this stuff to keep their people from starving and saving their government embarrassments. All right. Sometimes they don't have to do it. All right. But this is right down. If you want to talk about this one, they say it's all overseas. Venezuela's in the hemisphere that we're in. They're right down the road. You could essentially right down the road that within a day's plane travel, a few hours of plane travel to get to Venezuela. And if you think it won't happen here, it is definitely going to hit here just a matter of time. All right. So be prepared. Get yourself ready to go. All right, because they're struggling overseas. We just covered how Lebanon is carrying wheelbarrows of worthless cash. Venezuela is doing the same thing. All right. So go and get this article that was from EurasiaReview.com. All right, and then we continue our thing. Our stories about going overseas. All right, words central banks boost gold reserves. All right, now this is a telling story. This is a culmination. If you see this world, all the central banks around the world, they're getting out of the game. They realize that cash is going to be worthless and they need to protect themselves, so they're getting into the precious metals. This article is kind of telling because central banks have been stocking up on precious metals since long before I was even born. All right, ever since the end of the Bretton Woods Agreement. All right, and Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. All right, and they've been boosting their reserves of gold, precious metals and gold while telling the regular old everyday folks like us that don't even get into gold. It's barbaric. It doesn't do anything. Shout out to not Alan Greenspan, I can't remember his name. Forget about it. Forget about that one. The last Federal Reserve Chairman right after Alan Greenspan. All right. So go ahead and see what's going on with this article here. That is from goldseek.com. All right. The World Central Banks are starting to tell everybody. That means they've been worried about it and they've been collecting and they're getting ready to not just they're going to drop the price of precious metals down a little bit further, and then it's going to have a violent upswing when they've gotten what they wanted out of it. Then they're going to go ahead and hit the button that the violent upswing takes, and by the time most of us see it, it's already too late. We can't even afford it. Won't be able to afford a gram of gold, which costs you about $25,000-$30,000. A full ounce of gold will cost you over $100,000. Looking at probably an ounce of silver, looking at about $25,000. All right, an ounce. All right, that's just some of the stuff I'm speculating about, but that is not far off from far fetched. All right, so go ahead and get this article from goldseek.com. All right, goldseek.com. All right, and then we're going to finish up with zerohedge.com here, back home in the States. All right, top warehouse operator says supply chain crisis has reached the peak. All right, we're seeing supply shortage everywhere. It is starting. It is hitting over. It's hitting here where I'm at, and I'm essentially I'm over in the military area, all from up and down for the nearest. Let's say 150 miles is military around, and now you're starting to see supply issues everywhere, including in these towns here. All right. Uh, and this has been a growing problem with the warehouse. What's going on in the docks on both the East Coast and the West Coast? Docks, you got upwards of almost 100 ships on both sides of the ocean. Both sides can't even pull in. They're in redirect routes, including to Florida, Texas, everywhere else you can fit a port in. Well, you can fit some of these ships in to get them to offload. All right, and these supply chains have been issued. And many people think it's just these cargo ships, but it's actually not just cargo ships. You've actually had meat chains and supply chains Farmers can't get enough drivers to take their products to market, so they're having to dump milk left and right. They're having to dump poultry, beef, everything else, pork, everything else. Just flat out get rid of it because they can't make it and it's starting to spoil it. Sorry about that. And so that's what's going on. Not only so remember, you people don't just concentrate on what's going on out on the ports. Look at what's going on inside domestically, what they call the flyover country, which is essentially the heartland of the country of this country we at right now that we live on. All right, that's where most of our meat products, meat farmers are, our grains, everything else there. All right, and since they can't get it to market, they're just having to throw it all away, and it's just becoming more rotten and rotten and rotten. All right, so they can't make it to market. All right, so with that being said, get this article. This is from zerohedge.com. All right, take a look at these stories, read for yourselves, do a little bit of research, get into it. Sometimes research takes about 2 minutes, about maybe 2 minutes of your life to get into research and see these articles. All right, things are coming to a head very quickly, so get yourself, be ready, and be prepared. So once again, thank you for joining us in another edition of Mellencamp News. Be safe, be sound. And as we say, everything starts local. Everything is local. You are your own best banker. You're your own best savings and loans. You're your own best credit union. You're your own best financier. All right, get that community, get that body system started with your neighbors. Get your neighbors with the community. Reach out to other communities. All right. I want to thank you for joining another edition of Mellencamp News. Be safe, be sound, and let's get it started.